Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za.
When the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful. That's by Malala Yousafzai. If you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint and let that voice be silent. That's by Vincent van Gogh. Finally, find your voice and inspire others to find theirs. That's by Stephen Covey. Good morning and welcome to the Midweek Motivation right here on brandlive.co.za, and welcome to those of you joining us on Facebook Live. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are speaking about finding your voice, that inner voice within you. Now, let me tell you what happened about a couple of months ago. It was about 3 or 4 months ago. I watched a YouTube clip. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the artist KRS-One, but he literally stood in front of a group of students and he held up a word, and the word was rockstar, and he asked everyone in the studio to read that word out, and the word was rockstar. So everyone said rockstar. 1, 2, 3, everybody. Rockstar, right? That was great. And then he said, okay, now I want you not to use the voice that comes from your esophagus or your vocal cords. I don't want you to use that voice, but I still want you to say this word that is now rockstar. And so he held the word up and he counted 1, 2, 3, and everybody said rockstar, but not with that voice, with their internal voice. And today, that's the voice we're speaking about. Today in studio we have Darren August, my very good friend. He's an author of the book called The Teacher Changed My Life. Darren is the founder of Inspired Publishing. And who better to speak to us than this man who helps others find their voice and author their books. Darren, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Keenan, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure for you to have me on your show.
Yes, that's right. It is a pleasure. Darren, tell us, finding one's voice, all right? Where do we start with this process, in your opinion? I mean, because as I see it, finding your voice isn't an instantaneous thing. I don't think you wake up one morning and you find your voice and that's that, you know. I think it took me a while to find my voice. There was a process that I had to go through to find it. I'm even now refining the voice I found. So what's your perspective on where people start in terms of finding their voice?
Oh, you chose the most difficult question on one of the most difficult days when I'm having such a terrible week. Okay. But I really believe finding your voice is, it comes with really being sensitive to your life journey. Okay. So I feel like every single one of us has got a unique mandate. Yes. We've got a reason why we're on the earth.
Your purpose.
Yes. Okay. And so I feel like we need to listen. Yes. And then discover what is our message that we bring to the world. And that then helps us to craft our voice. Wow. And find the voice that we need to bring and portray.
I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying, that finding your voice doesn't necessarily start with speaking. It starts with listening. And so I believe it's important to find ourselves in a place of solitude, of silence. I like to call it the darkness, because that's how it happened for me. It was in a very dark time of my life, in a very dark space that I was in, that I had to actually face all my fears, all my insecurities, all my shortcomings. I had to actually face that head on. And it was only in that moment for me that my voice emerged. But it came through first listening. I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Is that how it unraveled for you personally?
I would say so. I would say a little bit of that. So I had a personal experience where growing up for me, my voice was really all I had at times to express myself. I was never the popular kid. I was never famous. I wasn't, I was none of that. Yes. But I got to a place where I realized that I had a voice that was heard. And for me, it was in different forms. It would be perhaps singing on stage or, just doing a whole lot of different things. And then I got to a point in my life, which I believe was a defining moment, where I literally was told that my voice was no longer needed.
What?
And for me, it was literally my voice, in terms of my singing voice.
I guess that's so personal for us because, I mean, you're a speaker. You were singing. So for someone to say to you, your voice is no longer needed.
Exactly.
What a blow.
And so that really got me to a place where it silenced my voice for a long time. I felt like I was no longer worthy. I felt like I had no worth. It literally crushed my confidence. And you have to understand that for me, I had built my brand. I had built my everything was based on my voice, based on the fact that I would get up and sing and I would command people's attention. I would get up and speak and I would command people's attention. And so to now be criticized or told that my voice no longer matters really got me to a place where I was crushed. I was at an all-time low. And so I had to really dig deep. It took me time. I had to get away. I had to get silent.
Yes.
And then what really happened was the first thing I had to do in order to set myself free from that place that held me captive was I actually had to speak again.
Wow.
And that came with me having to confront the issue. I had to confront the situation, and I had to go back and I had to speak forgiveness. I had to speak life. I had to go and say that what happened really, really crushed me. But I'm here today to say that I can't allow it to silence my voice any longer. And so I had to take back control of my voice and get my voice out there again. And so it's actually, when I saw the topic of the discussion, I thought it's such an interesting one because it's, how can I explain it? It's almost like what do you call it? What's that? One of those nice English words that you've got. Like it's figurative. It was figurative because for me it was literally my real voice, and it was so many lessons that I've learned about my voice as who I am as well.
We're using finding your voice as a metaphor. For really
A metaphor, that's
you,
a word.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Man. It's such a pleasure for having me. Finding your voice is a metaphor for finding your purpose, finding your niche in life, finding that divine calling that you've been summoned to perform on this earth while you're here. And so for you it's speaking and singing, and that's what was sort of attacked in that moment. But for other people, it could be if you're a painter, it's time to paint. If you're a dancer, it's time to dance. If you're a business person and you fail time and time again at businesses, but you know without a shadow of a doubt that you've been called to do something great in the entrepreneurial space, it's time then to get your business voice back.
That's correct.
And get out there and trade.
You've literally nailed it on the head, because I made some notes saying that our voice is not necessarily the voice you speak with. It literally is. For some of us, it could be our life. Your life could be your voice. Your work could be your voice. So what it is that you, again, what is your mandate? Why am I here? Why am I on the face of the earth? And that is really, for me, that is what symbolizes your voice.
My goodness, Darren. So where did you find that mandate? Where did you find that purpose? How did it come through for you? Because you speak about a period of listening. And in that period of listening, I mean, I don't think we're only listening with our physical ears, but we're listening with our eyes. We're looking for, patterns in the world. This is what I certainly believe. I believe the outer world reflects your inner world. So if there's something that's being reflected in your outer world, it's almost a divine message that you have to take cognizance of and say, hey, this is something I should pay attention to. And it's almost like a knowing within your soul, this is for me. I need to pay attention. Talk us through that listening process.
100% correct. So I feel like all around us, there are clues all the time. It happens from the time you're a little child, all the way through life. Something happens and you do something really good and people say, wow, that was amazing. Or that was really good.
You're made for
or
this
people
space.
keep telling you, oh, you should, or wow, you always do, or you always say. And those are the little clues that get dropped all along your life journey to let you realize this is your voice. And so for me, I developed a saying when I was really at a low point in my life, and I call it another defining moment, and it goes something like this: don't ever allow anyone to tell you that you're not good enough. And even if they say it, just refuse to believe it. And so for me, when I developed that saying, it was at a point where I was rejected. I was going through something bad, and I had to literally just speak that out over myself or into my own life, not knowing that later on it would manifest, and now it becomes something that I literally teach wherever I go.
And you love by. I'm getting goosebumps as you're saying that. Even if they say it, just don't believe it. Don't make it true, right? So you mentioned now that you help other people find their voice. Now, I always think back to my time in an aeroplane where you're flying to whatever destination you're flying to, and there's an air hostess or an air host up there, a flight attendant, please excuse me for those in that profession. A flight attendant up there doing a demonstration, and inevitably they say to you, before securing your mask in the event of a crash or an emergency, and these masks pop down, these oxygen masks pop down, secure your own mask first before assisting fellow passengers. Is that what it's like in terms of helping others find their voice? Do you have to have your voice first before you can help others find their voice?
I think so. I'd like to answer that with yes and no.
Okay.
Because sometimes we feel that we need to have it all together.
Okay.
Before we're able to help somebody else.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily think that's always true.
Okay.
Because sometimes we're all still evolving.
Everybody's
we're
on
all
a
still
journey,
on a
right?
life journey.
Yeah.
And so what you've learned already might already be enough
Yeah.
to help empower somebody else.
Love that.
But I do believe that you need to be committed to finding your own voice, so that when you help somebody else do that, you're doing it from a place of strength, from a place of victory, from a place of being authentic, from a place of having at least walked part of your journey.
Yes. And so you could even be in this process of refining your voice.
I agree.
You know, or finding the strength in your voice.
Yeah.
While helping others find theirs. I love a quotation by Robin Sharma. He says, "Speak your truth, even if your voice quivers." I absolutely love that.
It's beautiful.
And I want you to talk us through how you assist people to write their books, and tell us a little bit more about Inspired Publishing, the vision behind it. What's your mission with that? Because I know that you've just helped a couple of authors over the November, December, January period. You've just had a masterclass that was a phenomenal success. People have a message, people have a voice, and they want it to be heard. How do you help them?
I think we're living in a time where so many people's voices have been silenced, and so many people have been told that their stories don't matter, that their journeys don't matter, and we live in a world where we are just so bombarded with so much information and
who's
so
to
much.
Judge that anyway?
Exactly, we see so on social media people are living a life that looks a certain way, and so we use that to measure our lives by, or we use that as the standard, and so as a result we almost diminish ourselves all the time. And so I've realized that so many people have been told that their stories don't matter, or that only certain people can write, or only certain people can become authors. And I really wanted to break that mentality, and I wanted to really just get people to start realizing that what they've been through could possibly help, even if it's just one person. You know, most times it's not just one person. You literally just need to believe that it can help one person, and you'd be so surprised to see how many other people your life can impact. There's no way that Darren August can reach the entire world. There's no way that Darren August, with everything that I do, can inspire everybody out there. You know what I'm saying? The world needs
It's just not
Keenan.
physically possible, right?
The world needs Keenan. The world needs Alvira. The world needs everybody else that is out there. And what it is, and your mandate. The world needs your mandate.
The world needs you.
Exactly. And so really with Inspired Publishing, after the success that I've experienced with my own personal book, I just realized that there was so much I could teach and I could share, having learned the ropes myself. Because when I did it, nobody was prepared to help me. Nobody was prepared to walk the journey with me.
Did you knock on doors and you
I
were
did.
told?
I did. I was people were told, I'm busy, I can't see you now, or I'll get in touch with you. And so I had to teach myself everything I know right now, and realize that there is so much value in what I've learned. Why would I not want to empower other people and make the world a better place?
I love that, Darren. So share with us. You know, you say your book impacted a couple of people. Now I know we've shared the story personally, but just in that moment where you found your voice and you said, you know what, actually my voice does matter. Actually I do have a story to tell, and I do have people that need my help. I'm now going and I'm putting this product and this story and this message out there. Who have you impacted? Who have you touched? Just give us some highlights, because I know we don't have enough time for you to go through the entire list, but give us some highlights.
So literally, so my book, I literally wrote my book at the point where, shortly after the incident I spoke about earlier on, where I was at the lowest point in my life, and I was just completely silent. After I then confronted the issue, spoke about forgiveness, went and made peace with the person, pursued peace with the person. Literally within a month, my book was done, and I was able to release my book, and I've never looked back since. So since then, I sold over 5,000 copies of my book. I've done over 300-400 speaking engagements. I do an average of 150 speaking engagements a year.
My goodness.
I've had the privilege of gracing some of the biggest stages in our country. I've emceed the National Teaching Awards. I've had presidents buying my book, and so it's really and all of that is not for applause. All of that is really just to let everybody out there know that you can achieve the same thing. There's no difference between me and you, and what you've been through is for somebody else. You know, but it really starts with finding your voice. It starts with being courageous enough to take back control of your voice and say, you know what I've got to say matters. And all I need to do is find the people who are prepared to listen.
Absolutely. And the reason I asked you to share that story is exactly this, to make the point that your success didn't start with writing your book. There's a step before you write your book, and that step is to find your voice. You know, a painter's success is not going to start with painting the painting. It's going to start with finding their voice, in inverted commas. If you're a business person, it's not about the product necessarily. It's about finding and securing within your soul and in your heart, and solidifying it in your mind that this is my purpose and this is what I need to do. And then you mentioned it earlier, go forth with commitment, go forth with courage. Darren, let's get practical for a second. Because I mean, I think we're speaking around finding your voice, but what are some practical things that people can do? What are some practical tips that people can do to find their voice, or to provoke their voice to come alive? I almost feel like your voice is always there. It's already there. It's not like when we say finding your voice, it's not lost.
Yeah.
It's not in an unknown place. I believe it's there. I believe it's about unearthing that voice, or creating an environment to let your voice come forth and flourish. What are some of the practical ways people can do that?
Okay, so some of the practical ways is, firstly, embrace your message.
Okay.
Embrace your message, embrace your mandate. When you realize what it is that you're supposed to do, embrace that. And you discover that by being alert when the clues are dropped.
Yes.
So when people are complimenting you on certain things, those are the clues.
Wow.
So embrace all of that. And then speak. And by speak, I don't mean speak.
Yes.
If you're a painter, paint. If you're a singer, sing.
Yeah.
If you're a writer, write. So that's how you do it. You have to just practice your craft. Give your voice practice, so that you're able to make the difference that you're supposed to. And then you need to check and see when people are listening.
Yes.
So people are listening when you speak what they want to hear.
Yes.
People are listening when you speak what they don't want to hear but need to hear.
Yes.
And sometimes that's a difficult one.
That's a tough one.
And then people listen when you speak truth,
Yes.
when you speak life, and when you speak good.
Yes.
And so be committed
Absolutely.
to really just making an impact, making a difference. And there's no way that your voice won't be heard.
Darren, I love what you're saying. I want to add one more in there of my own to inspire, encourage, and motivate you, because that's what the Midweek Motivation is all about. It's about inspiring people to be, do, and have all that they desire to be. And I want to encourage you to take risks. I mean, Darren speaks about painting if you're a painter, but what if you're a dancer? Does that mean you shouldn't paint?
Sure.
By all means, pick up a brush and paint.
Yeah.
If you're a singer, but you actually would like to try your hand at speaking, or business, by all means,
Very good.
pick up the microphone and speak, or pick up that product and sell it. Take a risk, take a calculated risk, put yourself out there. I did a show a couple of weeks ago about passing over opportunities repeatedly, and I think it plays beautifully into this space.
Sure.
When you're finding your voice, don't pass over the opportunity to try something new, because you never know where that could land up. I started off playing golf, Darren. And I decided to pick up a mic. And here I am in a studio with a microphone speaking to you and inspiring people. And I feel like my passion was always calling out to me. It's a latent desire that's in your heart that's speaking out to you. All right, so talk us through how people get in touch with you, with your businesses. I know there are people listening right now who want to write that book. I know that you do dream coaching, Darren. I want you to talk to us about dream coaching, because I was at an event where you spoke and you shared the story about a young man who was thrown in a pit, who was put in prison, who was and literally made his way to the palace. And it was all around him sharing his dream with his family, who then shut it down. So talk to us about the dream, because I also believe it starts there. What's the dream in your heart? Your voice is probably in that area.
Wow, it's actually so good that you reminded me of that, because we've been taught that...
I have my eye on you.
So
I'm watching you.
So we've been taught that don't just share your dreams with everybody.
Yes.
Because not everybody's going to celebrate you. People are going to speak against your dreams, and people are going to discourage you and so on. But I actually flipped that right on its head.
Yes.
And I said that, so the story, if we look at the story, it's the story of Joseph in the Bible.
That's right.
And when we look at it, he spoke his dream, and his own brothers then what came up against
even his
him.
mother and father. Right?
Exactly. And so the lesson for me in that was, do you really think that people have more power than the dream giver?
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Love that.
So how do we then get to the place where we put the power in the hands of people instead of
The dream
leaving it
giver.
with the dream giver?
Yes.
And so for me, I actually dare you to speak your dreams.
Yes.
Speak your dreams, because if anything, it will expose your haters, and then you'll know who's not for you, and you can move on and get closer to achieving your dream.
Okay. Now we're touching on haters, we're touching on dreamers. Darren, those haters could be your very family.
And that's okay.
This past Sunday, I heard that in a family of doctors, when you want to be a musician, it's going to be frowned upon.
I'm sure.
And yet, in a family of musicians, when you stand up and say, I want to be a doctor, that's going to be frowned upon. So not everybody is always going to support your vision or your dream.
Sure.
Keep it in the hands of the dream giver. Darren, I absolutely love that. I know that our listeners are inspired by you. How do we get in touch with you?
All right, so social media is a good place to connect with me.
Right.
All of my social handles are at Darren August. That's Darren, August like the month. So connect with me on social media. Follow me, Inspired by Darren August. That's my Facebook page.
Yes.
Or go to my website, www.darrenaugust.com. And yeah, you'll basically be able to see the branches of everything else I do. My brand is called Inspired, which is really to inspire people.
I think it's so fitting of you because literally wherever you go, you're inspired. If I come over to your place for some tea, I feel so inspired.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Awesome.
yes, that's what it is. My publishing company is called Inspired Publishing.
Oh, man.
And we really have a dream of producing South African authors
Yes.
who are committed to telling their stories.
Yes.
And we really help them get to the place where their stories are heard and celebrated.
And finding their voice. Absolutely beautiful. Darren, please close off our show today. Well, you're going to close off our show with two things. The first thing is very predictable. The second thing you're not even prepared for. I can tell you that for sure. Don't look at me like that. Give us that quotation again.
Okay, so I'm going to choose between the first one and the second one. I choose the first one, and this is my way of closing off the show.
No.
So the saying goes, don't ever allow anyone to tell you that you're not good enough. And even if they say it, just refuse to believe it.
Just refuse to believe it. Darren, I want you to sing your favorite motivational song.
Oh, I don't have one.
You know what I did? I sang I Believe I Can Fly. Another guest sang World's Greatest. I had another guest on the show singing Barney, I Love You. Now, I know your boy Ezra loves Toy Story. Are you going to sing anything from Toy Story?
No, I don't even know all those lyrics yet. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Here we go.
no,
The song that inspires you.
I'm so not prepared for this. Let me think.
I had to throw a curveball at you. I had to.
Let's go to an ad break.
Okay, there we're gonna leave it right
How
there.
about using your favorite motivation song and I'll sing along with you?
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Blank.
Everybody
Totally
out
blank.
Everybody out there, today has been about finding your voice, and we just want to inspire you to listen, to dig deep, find the voice that's speaking to you. Darren calls it the dream giver. Darren calls him the dream giver. He's given you a dream. You've arrived on this planet with your purpose already intact. It's about discovering it. It's actually about remembering it, really. And find your voice. And we're going to end off with a quotation by Robin Sharma that speak your truth, even if your voice quivers. This is the Midweek Motivation. We're back next week, Wednesday, 10 a.m., right here on brandlive.co.za.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.